Good afternoon and welcome to our Adobe webinar. Thank you all for joining us today from sunny Wales, it actually is today, here in the West. So my name's Owen Williams and I'm the Business Development Manager here at Pew. And I'm joined today by Tom McEldowie, the Education Business Architect at Adobe. So today Tom's going to discuss the different named user licenses and how they're beneficial for us in our current climate and how they will be going forward in the future. Also, as you can see from the slide, there's also been a reduction in, to the minimum purchase for named user license packs. So yeah, like I said, Tom is going to discuss through these. So if you've got any questions for what Tom's going to be talking about, please send them into the Q&A and we'll have a little Q&A at the end with Tom and myself. So yeah, that's all from me at the moment. So I'll bring Tom in now. So good afternoon, Tom.
Good afternoon, Owen. Thanks for having me.
No problem. Great to have you back again.
Well, looking forward to presenting this. And as I say, if there's any questions that come up, we can pick those up at the end. And my contact details will be shared at the end of the presentation, so we can go from there. Okay. Right. So let's go into this then. One of the key things, and I've got some animation here, which I didn't realise I'd put on there at the top, is that sometimes we have some confusions over Adobe's licensing for education, and hopefully I'll give some clarity on this and a bit of background to it, and then we'll go into how the 300 licenses allow some more flexibility in the current climate and also going forward, because we've got to think about what the new normal will look like. On the left-hand side here, we have the device license, which is the traditional way of licensing software where you licensed it per device. And I've put in here legacy because this type of license didn't require users to sign in. It runs Creative Cloud 2018, which is now 3 versions behind the current version, which means you don't get tools like Adobe XD, which is great for mocking up mobile apps and websites. You don't get Adobe Premiere Rush, which is in between of Spark to Premiere Pro video editor that works across any device. You don't get Adobe Dimension as well, and CC libraries. From a technical point of view, these packages are built using the Adobe Creative Cloud Packager on your local machine. There's no access to mobile apps and you're not able to virtualize this. So that's the legacy device license. And then many customers have moved across to the shared device license. This is, again, for the classroom. It does have the latest version of Creative Cloud, but only the desktop versions of Adobe Acrobat, XD, and Premiere Rush. It's built using the website packager. I'll change that, but there is no access to mobile apps on this. The key thing here is that the shared device license is licensed per device in the classroom. And when we've got new apps like Photoshop on the iPad or Illustrator on the iPad, these you can't access with a shared device license because you license it per device. And again, you're not able to virtualize this method. There is a minimum purchase threshold of the device licenses of 25, so a minimum number to purchase. You can purchase anything above that. It's not a pack, it's not a 25 pack. And then we move across to the named user license, the full named user. This is the full version of Adobe Creative Cloud. It is licensed per user rather than per device. So if you use this version, you can install it on unlimited computers because the license is activated by the user logging in. You have access to the latest version of CC, including all mobile apps. So as I said, Illustrator, Fresco, and Photoshop all on the iPad. There's more apps coming to the web. We've also got things like Document Cloud in the browser. So with a full named user license, you can edit PDFs in a web browser without needing to download Acrobat Pro. You can convert a file from a PDF to Word or to PowerPoint directly in the browser. So the named user license gives you all of that. It gives you access to the full Adobe fonts as well. With a shared device, you have a limited access to Adobe fonts, but with the named user, you have full access to the Adobe fonts library, and you are able to virtualize this. So if you're looking at a strategy where your users have got Chromebooks or lighter weight devices because they're cheaper for the end user, but they need the raw power to be able to run these industry standard applications, then you can virtualize this in a virtual environment, and that's perfectly allowable. And we've got guides on how to do that in terms of CC All Apps. This minimum has been brought down from 500 to 300 to give more access to schools and users, especially being able to use the software remotely. So think about this similar to the Microsoft Pro Plus, where the users can install it on their own device at home as well as use it in school. And the same goes for teachers. So I'm just going to build an example here of a secondary school. And we look at applying Adobe Spark for everyone. So when we looked at those last two options, the SDL license and the named user license, it requires the users to sign in. And the easiest way to test that, if you're not confident, is to set up Adobe Spark, which is for education is completely free with premium features. So you can assign that to every user in the school. We can link to Microsoft Office 365 or G Suite for Education, so the users can have a federated login without having to worry about a new password for this tool or validating their email every time and putting in two-factor. If they've got federated logins, they can just log in through either Google or Office 365. So assigning Spark is really useful across the board for everyone. There's unlimited licenses. Then quite often in schools, they've got some shared device licenses in the labs, in the classrooms, and they might have used one of those shared device licenses for their teachers' laptops and their teacher devices, because it was probably the cheapest way of doing it, because you weren't going to hit that 500 minimum threshold. Now it's come down to 300. It really gives an opportunity for assigning staff the named user license. So if we look at this route where you've got some SDL in the labs, this might work perfectly for an example technology where year 7, 8 and 9 might only need to use some of the Creative Cloud tools once every half term and not all the time. So it's useful to have the labs in there that they have access. And then you might have the staff or some staff and the students doing the creative subjects having that all apps access. So that gives them access to Lightroom. Lightroom works in the browser as well. Photoshop, Illustrator, the 23 apps to install it. And it allows you to install it on teacher machines in school. And also they can go to adobe.com, sign in with their email address and download it on their own personal device as well. With that 300, you can buy 300 and more in one go. But if you've got an existing contract, you don't have to wait for that contract to come to its anniversary date. What happens with Adobe, you have a VIP agreement. That is a 12-month agreement. So if you took out a shared device license in your school 6 months ago, you've still got 6 months to run on your contract until the renewal date. If you wanted to add on 300 named user licenses, you can add that on and you would only pay, because there's only 6 months left of your contract until the anniversary date, you would only pay 50% of the annual price because it's pro-rated, co-termed. So there's an option to add things on now rather than wait till that anniversary date. And when you also think about it, a lot of teachers just want to be able to edit PDFs. The price point for the named user, if you assigned it to all staff, actually is really good value just for that point, let alone the ability to create really good videos simply using Premiere Rush, or then moving things into some of the other tools that we have with Photoshop, Illustrator and the likes, and things like Dimension. And then we have some schools that have actually gone all the way, so to providing licenses to all their users and all of their staff. So they've got that use at home, they've got that use in school. There's no worry about which labs have licenses because you can install the package on unlimited devices. And that's something to think about, a journey to where you would get the best value out of the tools. So another way of picturing this is that in the schools, you could say, well, generally for the core subjects, Adobe Spark provides us with enough to create simple videos, simple graphics, only requires the browser. And then you would put device licenses in the specialist subject areas. And then you would look at named users and assigning it to all teachers. And just a couple of points to pick out here. The named user license gives them the rights in school and at home and all the mobile apps. And it also includes full document cloud and Adobe Sign Individual. So they can send documents for signature directly from Acrobat if they want a digital signature to confirm something. With Acrobat, with the document cloud services, you can easily send a link out from document cloud to get comments directly back in and be able to respond to those and set deadlines on feedback on PDFs. Again, the creative students, they can install it on their devices, their mobile devices, their devices at home and in school. And it provides them with all of the tools that they would need there. And then you might have your core subjects, which again, by using Spark, they can use it both in the classroom, in the lab, and at home. So that's one of the key differences with the licensing models and the numbers. It's a 25 device license minimum on the shared device and 300 minimum on the named user. But you can always go beyond that if you wanted to license 400 students and 30 licenses in the lab. Some of the customers I speak to as well, they look at using the named user license as a way of attracting sixth formers, or saying if you come here as a sixth former, you get access to all these tools. So not just to be able to edit a PDF, you get Premiere Pro, Premiere Rush, Photoshop, as well as the other tools on your mobile devices as well. So that's a kind of a whistle-stop tour of how the licenses work in a named user. As I say, I'll go back to this slide here, just confirming that with the named user license, we do have this option to virtualize the at-home license so they can use it on their own device. And as a school, you don't have to build a package and then send them that file. They can just go to adobe.com and click on sign in and then download the Creative Cloud desktop app. So I was asked to do this in about 15 minutes. So hopefully I've covered most of the key points around the license model and the reduction from 500 to 300. So if there are any questions that have come up, I'm more than happy to answer those.